In the vast darkness of space, aboard the giant alien ship named the Goliath, the mood was light and filled with laughter. The alien soldiers, part of the fierce Zantresi Empire, were gathered around a large screen. On this screen, they watched tiny dots that represented the Earth's fleet, just a handful of ships that looked no more threatening than toys. First Officer Grax, a towering figure with shimmering blue skin, pointed at the screen and laughed loudly. "Look at them. They think those old tin cans can fight against us," he joked, making the others roar with laughter. The Zantresi were known across the galaxy for their advanced technology and powerful military. They had conquered many worlds, and Earth was just going to be another easy win for them. Or so they thought. On the bridge of the Goliath, the aliens continued their mockery. Each ship in Earth's fleet was displayed on the screen, their specs and capabilities listed next to them. To the Zantresi, these specs were laughable. Their ships were faster, stronger, and equipped with weapons that could destroy planets. Commander Vrex, the leader of the Zantresi fleet, joined his officers on the bridge. He was a seasoned warrior with scars crisscrossing his green skin, each one a trophy from a different battle. Seeing his men so relaxed and confident brought a sharp smile to his face. "Men," he started, his voice deep and commanding, "today, we face what may be the weakest opponent in our empire's history. Earth's primitive ships are no match for our might." Cheers filled the bridge as the aliens imagined their upcoming victory. They talked about how they would invade Earth, take its resources, and how easily they would crush any resistance. Lieutenant Zorak, a young but ambitious officer, stepped forward with a tablet in his hand. "Sir, according to our scans, Earth has only recently achieved spaceflight. They are practically still in their infancy. This won't even be a battle. It'll be a cleanup operation." Commander Vrex nodded, his eyes fixed on the screen showing Earth's solar system. "Indeed, Zorak. But let us not become careless. Overconfidence has been the downfall of many great warriors." The aliens all agreed, but their laughter did not cease. They placed bets on how quickly the battle would end. Some said minutes, others thought seconds. They all agreed on one thing: the Earth fleet stood no chance. Meanwhile, far from the laughter and the confident boasts of the Zantresi, on Earth, something unexpected was happening. In a hidden underground facility, humans were working on a secret project that could change everything. The project was led by Dr. Lara Henson, a brilliant scientist with a vision to make Earth's fleet not just competitive, but superior. Dr. Henson and her team knew what they were up against. They had intercepted Zantresi communications and understood the arrogance of their enemy. But instead of feeling defeated, they felt determined. "We will show them," Dr. Henson said to her team as they gathered around a new model of ship they were working on. "We will show them what Earthlings can do when they are pushed into a corner." Back in space, the Zantresi fleet moved closer to Earth, their ships gleaming under the light of distant stars. Commander Vrex stood at the front of the bridge, watching as Earth grew larger on their screens. "Prepare for battle," he commanded, his voice no longer jovial but filled with the thrill of conquest. But what the Zantresi did not know was that Earth was not going to be the easy target they expected. The laughter on the Goliath might soon turn to shock. As the first episode of our story comes to an end, the stage is set for a clash between two worlds, one confident in its supremacy and the other desperate but ingenious. The battle for Earth's future was about to begin, and with it, a story of courage and unexpected twists. Stay tuned as Earth shows the galaxy just what it's made of. Deep inside a hidden mountain base, under layers of rock and steel, Earth's best minds gathered in a room lit by screens and filled with blueprints and models. This was the center of Earth's secret hope, a project so ambitious and crucial that only a few knew about it. The project was led by Dr. Lara Henson, a brilliant scientist who believed in Earth's potential to surprise the galaxy. The room buzzed with energy as engineers, physicists, and military strategists worked together. They knew the Zantresi were coming, and they knew Earth's current fleet stood no chance against such a formidable enemy. But Dr. Henson had an idea, one that could level the playing field. "Listen up, everyone," Dr. Henson began, her voice clear and determined over the hum of conversation. "We can't outgun the Xantrasi with what we have. We need something new, something revolutionary." She clicked a button, and the screens around the room lit up with the design of a new type of ship. It was sleek, with angular lines and a structure that looked nothing like anything Earth had built before. "This is the Prometheus," Dr. Henson announced. "It's not just a ship, it's the future of Earth's defense." The Prometheus was designed to be fast and stealthy, capable of slipping past enemy sensors undetected. But its real strength lay in its new propulsion system and energy shields, technologies that had been developed in secret over the last decade. These technologies were not just improvements. They were leaps ahead of anything currently in space. "We've been working on these in the shadows," Dr. Henson explained. "The propulsion system uses quantum entanglement to create instantaneous bursts of speed. The energy shields can absorb and redirect energy from enemy weapons." The room filled with murmurs of excitement and disbelief. Some looked skeptical, but most were simply amazed. The idea of turning the tables on the Xantrasi, of actually having a fighting chance, sparked a fire in their eyes. General Carter, the military head of the project, stepped forward. He was a seasoned veteran, his face marked by lines of worry and determination. "How soon can we get the Prometheus operational?" he asked, his voice gruff but hopeful. Dr. Henson looked around at her team, her face serious. "We've got most of the tech tested in labs. We need to install it in the Prometheus and run field tests. I'd say we have just enough time before the Xantrasi reach our orbit." The general nodded, understanding the urgency. "Do it. Whatever you need, you've got it. This ship, this project, might just be our only shot." As the team set to work, retrofitting old ships and building the Prometheus, news of Earth's secret project began to spread through the underground networks. In cities and towns hidden from alien eyes, people began to whisper about a new hope, about Dr. Henson and her bold plan. Meanwhile, in space, the Xantrasi fleet continued its approach, unaware of the surprise Earth was preparing. Commander Vrex, confident of victory, ordered his ships into formation, ready for what he believed would be a simple and decisive battle. But back on Earth, in the bustling base, the atmosphere was one of cautious optimism. Engineers worked alongside soldiers, testing the new shields, installing the advanced engines, and loading the latest weapons. Every bolt tightened, and every circuit checked was done with the knowledge that the fate of Earth hung in the balance. As the Prometheus took shape, it became more than just a ship. It became a symbol of Earth's resilience and ingenuity, a beacon of hope for a world on the brink of invasion. In the command center, Dr. Henson watched the progress, her mind racing with calculations and strategies. "We're not just building a ship," she told her team. "We're building a future. Let's make sure it's a future we can all be proud of." As the episode draws to a close, the Prometheus stands nearly ready, a sleek testament to human creativity and defiance. Earth might be outmatched, but it was not out of the fight. Not yet. And as the Xantrasi draw closer, Earth prepares to unveil its big idea, a surprise that could change the course of the war. In a small, cluttered office lined with books and papers deep within Earth's Space Command Center, Dr. Laura Henson was lost in thought. Her desk was a landscape of sketches, coffee cups, and technical manuals. Despite the chaos around her, Laura's focus was sharp, her mind clear. She was the genius behind Earth's daring plan against the Xantrasi, the mind that could tip the scales in humanity's favor. Lara was not your typical hero. She was quiet, thoughtful, and often overlooked in her earlier career because her ideas were too radical, too different. But now, as Earth faced its greatest threat, it was her unique vision that offered a sliver of hope. Today, Lara was meeting with her core team, a group of brilliant minds handpicked for their skills and their courage. They gathered around a holographic display, where the Prometheus and its innovative features were being simulated. "All right, team," Lara began, her voice steady. "We've made incredible progress, but the real test is yet to come. We need to make sure everything functions perfectly under real conditions, not just in simulations." She pointed to the display, where the Prometheus's engines glowed blue. "These engines are our ace. They can move us faster and more unpredictably than anything the Zantresi have seen. But speed alone won't save us. We need precision, and we need your brains to ensure that." Her team nodded, their faces a mix of determination and nervous excitement. They were young, mostly in their 20s and 30s, and each had joined this secret project not just for the adventure, but for the chance to make a difference. Dr. Henson walked over to a young engineer, Tom, who was monitoring the energy shield simulations. "Tom, talk to me about the shields. How stable are they under stress?" Tom adjusted his glasses and replied, "They hold up well against standard energy blasts, but I'm still tweaking the absorption rates. We need them to be able to handle sustained fire. Give me 2 more days, and I'll have them battle-ready." Lara smiled, her confidence in her team unwavering. "Good, keep at it. We can't afford any weak spots." The next few hours were a blur of technical discussions, tests, and refinements. Lara moved from station to station, her mind always 3 steps ahead. She challenged her team to think beyond the conventional, to innovate relentlessly. As they worked, a large screen in the corner of the room showed the Zantresi fleet's progress toward Earth. It was a constant reminder of what was at stake. The alien ships were fast approaching, their arrival time estimated to be just a few days away. Despite the pressure, Lara's leadership brought a sense of calm to the team. She believed in them, in their ability to achieve the impossible, and it was this belief that kept the team going through long nights and endless testing. Late in the evening, as the team was about to call it a day, an alarm sounded. It was a system alert from the Prometheus's engine test. Everyone froze, then rushed to their stations. Lara's heart raced as she read the error codes flashing on her screen. There was a malfunction in the engine's quantum core, a critical component of their new propulsion system. If they couldn't fix it, all their work would be for nothing. "Okay, everyone, let's stay calm and solve this," Lara said, her voice firm. She dove into the problem alongside her team, her brain firing with solutions. Hours passed, and slowly, the puzzle pieces began to fit together. It was a flaw in the quantum calibration sequence, something minor but crucial. With a few adjustments, the engine hummed back to life, stronger than before. Exhausted but exhilarated, Lara leaned back in her chair, watching the engine run smoothly. "Well done, everyone. Let's keep pushing. We're not just building a ship, we're building our future." As the episode ends, the camera pulls back from the bustling command center, leaving Lara and her team silhouetted against the glow of the Prometheus on the display. Outside, the stars twinkle innocently, hiding the approaching danger and the impending clash that would determine the fate of Earth. But inside, surrounded by her team, Lara Henson, the unlikely genius, was ready to face it head-on, armed with her brilliant mind and unyielding spirit. Early morning light spilled over Earth's largest shipyard, where the sound of metal clanging, welding torches hissing, and workers shouting filled the air. This was where Earth's old fleet was being transformed into a modern force capable of standing up to the Zantresi threat. The air was thick with sparks and the heavy scent of burning metal, signs of hard work and harder times. In the middle of all this activity stood the Prometheus, its sleek and innovative design a stark contrast to the older models around it. Workers swarmed around the ship like bees around a hive, each one playing a part in the monumental task of preparing Earth's new defender. Dr. Lara Henson watched from a raised platform, her eyes scanning every detail of the ongoing work. Beside her stood General Carter, his face set in a serious expression as he observed the fleet's transformation. "This is quite the operation, Dr. Henson," the general commented, his voice loud enough to be heard over the din. Do you think we'll be ready in time? Lara turned to him, a determined glint in her eye. We have to be, General. There's no other option. Every person here knows what's at stake. As they spoke, a group of engineers approached, carrying tablets loaded with the latest test results and schematics. They were young and eager, their faces alight with the thrill of working on such a critical project. Dr. Henson, we've just finished installing the new propulsion systems on the first squadron, one engineer reported, handing her a tablet. Initial tests are promising, but we'll need to run more rigorous trials before we declare them battle-ready. Lara nodded, quickly reviewing the data. Good work. Make sure those trials are top priority. We can't afford any malfunctions when we face the Zantresi. Meanwhile, across the shipyard, technicians were busy retrofitting the older ships with the new energy shields. It was a complicated process, as each ship's design required individual adjustments and custom fittings. The workers moved with precision and urgency, aware that time was slipping away. One young technician, Mia, was focused on recalibrating a shield generator when her tools slipped, sparking against the hull. She cursed under her breath, then paused to wipe sweat from her brow. Looking around, she saw her colleagues in similar states of focused tension. We're doing good, right? Maya asked the older technician next to her, a man named Jacob, who had seen more ship repairs than Mia had years. Jacob glanced at her, his eyes crinkling with a smile under his graying beard. We're doing more than good, kid. We're making history. Now, let's get this done. Back at the command platform, Lara and the general continued their inspection. They walked through the shipyard, greeting workers, answering questions, and providing encouragement. The atmosphere, though charged with urgency, was also filled with a sense of camaraderie and shared purpose. As the day progressed, the Prometheus began to take on a life of its own. Its engines glowed softly during another test, its hull shone under the bright lights of the shipyard, and its weapon systems were carefully inspected and loaded. By evening, the shipyard had transformed several old vessels into modern warships. The Prometheus stood ready, its systems checked and rechecked, its crew running through pre-launch drills. Lara took a moment to stand alone, looking up at the Prometheus. It was more than just metal and circuits. It was a symbol of Earth's resilience, a beacon of hope against overwhelming odds. As the sun set behind the shipyard, casting long shadows and bathing the ships in golden light, the workers gathered for a brief meeting. Lara addressed them, her voice carrying over the assembled crowd. Today, we've done more than fix ships. We've prepared a fleet that will defend our home, our families. I am proud of each and every one of you. Rest tonight. Tomorrow, we test everything in real conditions. We show the Zantresi what happens when they underestimate Earth. The workers cheered, their spirits lifted by Lara's words. As they dispersed, the shipyard fell quiet, the ships standing like silent guardians against the night sky. In the silence, Earth's new fleet was not just fixed. It was reborn, ready to face the coming storm. At the heart of it all was the Prometheus, ready to lead the charge and carve a path toward an uncertain but hopeful future. The dawn was breaking over Earth's main spaceport, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple as the first light of day touched the gleaming hulls of the newly upgraded fleet. Today was the day the world would see the power and potential of the Prometheus and its squadron. It was showtime, a moment that would either boost the morale of every human or send waves of fear if it failed. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Dr. Lara Henson stood with her team, her eyes scanning the crew who were bustling around, checking systems and securing their stations. The air was thick with anticipation, and every heartbeat seemed loud in the charged silence. Everything looks green. We're ready to go, announced Tom, the chief engineer, as he looked up from his console. Lara nodded, her face calm, but her stomach in knots. All right, let's begin the demonstration. Remember, this isn't just about proving the tech. We're showing the world, and any watching Zantresi, that Earth is not going down without a fight. Outside the ship, Cameras from all over the world were broadcasting live, their lenses pointed at the Prometheus and its fleet. People gathered in public squares, eyes glued to screens big and small, their breaths held in hope and fear. General Carter, standing beside Laura, gave the order. Commence Operation Showcase. With a smooth and silent grace that belied its size, the Prometheus powered up. Its engines emitted a soft blue glow, and without any of the noise typical of the old thrusters, it began to move. The crowd watching from Earth let out a collective gasp as the ship seemed to slide through space effortlessly. The Prometheus was followed by its squadron, each ship fitted with the same cutting-edge technology. They moved in a formation that was both beautiful and tactical, weaving through space in a dance of engineered precision. As the ships reached a safe distance from Earth, they began their main event. The first test was speed. At Lara's command, the Prometheus's engines flared brighter, and the ship shot forward with a burst of speed that sent cheers echoing around the world. It moved faster than any ship had ever gone before, a blur to the cameras that struggled to keep up. Next came the maneuverability test. The ships turned and twisted through a series of complex maneuvers that showcased their agility. They dipped, dived, and dodged imaginary enemy fire, each movement crisp and precise. But the real showstopper was the energy shield demonstration. A retired satellite was used as a target for the test. As it floated innocently in space, the Prometheus approached it, its shields up and glowing faintly around its frame. Lara gave the signal, and from Earth, a controlled laser blast was fired at the Prometheus. The beam, bright and fierce, hit the shield and dispersed across its surface like water on glass, harmlessly deflecting off into space. The crowd on Earth erupted into applause and shouts of joy. Seeing the success, Lara allowed herself a small smile, but her mind was already on the next steps. Good work, everyone. Let's wrap this up and head back. We have a lot to prepare for. The fleet returned to formation and began their journey back to the spaceport. As they traveled, the world's media buzzed with excitement. Interviews, analyses, and celebrations filled the airwaves. Earth had shown its teeth, and they were sharper than anyone, especially the Zantresi, had expected. Meanwhile, far away in space, aboard the Zantresi flagship, the reaction was different. Commander Vrex watched the display, his expression darkening with each demonstration of Earth's newfound capabilities. "They are more advanced than we anticipated," he muttered to his first officer. "We must reconsider our approach." Back on Earth, as the Prometheus and its squadron landed back at the spaceport, they were met with a hero's welcome. People cheered, flags waved, and the sense of victory, even though small and symbolic, was palpable. Lara stepped off the Prometheus, her crew behind her, and faced the cameras. "Today, we showed what we are capable of," she declared, her voice steady and strong. "Let this be a message to the Zantresi and to the universe. Earth will defend itself. We are ready to fight for our home, for our families, and for our future." As the day ended, Earth had not just put on a show of technology, but had declared its readiness to face any threat. United and strong, the stage was set, the players ready, and the game was about to change. The stars shone brightly in the vast expanse of space as the newly empowered Earth fleet, led by the Prometheus, patrolled the outer edges of the solar system. The crew was on high alert, their senses sharpened by the possibility of encountering the enemy. The recent showcase of their technological advancements had boosted their confidence, but the true test was yet to come. Dr. Lara Henson, aboard the Prometheus, monitored the situation from the command bridge. Her eyes were fixed on the large display screens, which showed a map of their current location and the surrounding space. The tension was palpable, a silent buzz that filled the air and kept everyone on edge. "Contact. Unknown objects approaching fast from Sector 7, shouted the radar operator, breaking the tense silence. The crew sprang into action, their training kicking in as they prepared for their first real confrontation. Lara moved quickly to the main console, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. "Visuals now," she commanded. The screen flickered and then displayed a live feed of space ahead. 3 small crafts, unmistakably Zantrasi scout ships, were closing in. They were sleek and aggressive, designed for fast strikes and reconnaissance. "This is it, folks," Lara announced to her crew, her voice calm despite the adrenaline rushing through her veins. "Let's show them what we're made of. Defensive positions, engage shields, and prepare to counterattack. Tom, keep an eye on those propulsion systems. We need all the speed we can get." The Prometheus and its accompanying ships activated their energy shields, which shimmered into visibility, enveloping each ship in a protective bubble. The Zantrasi scouts seemed to hesitate, their advance slowing as they assessed the unexpected resistance. "Fire a warning shot across their bow. Let's see if they're really up for a fight or just sniffing around," Lara ordered. The gunner complied, and a single shot blazed through space, narrowly missing the lead Zantrasi ship. It was a clear message, and the response was immediate. The alien ships regrouped and then charged forward, their weapons lighting up to return fire. The battle that ensued was a dance of dodging, weaving, and strategic firing. Earth's ships used their superior maneuverability to evade the Zantrasi attacks while delivering precise and calculated strikes. The Prometheus, leading the charge, showcased its capabilities by outmaneuvering the alien scouts with ease. One by one, the Zantrasi ships took hits. Their shields flickered and waned under the relentless assault from Earth's new weapons. It wasn't long before the first scout ship's shields failed completely, and a well-aimed shot from the Prometheus disabled it, leaving it drifting helplessly in space. The remaining 2 scouts, realizing they were outmatched, began a hasty retreat. Lara watched them go, her crew cheering around her, but she remained focused. "Do not pursue," she instructed firmly. "Let them run. They'll report back, and their superiors will know we're not the easy target they expected." As the adrenaline of the encounter faded, relief washed over the bridge. They had faced their first real test and emerged victorious. But Lara knew this was just the beginning of what would surely be a larger conflict. "Good work, everyone," she praised her crew. "Today, we held our ground and protected our space. But stay sharp. The real challenge is still ahead of us." Back on Earth, news of the skirmish spread quickly. People celebrated the victory, their faith in the Prometheus and its fleet strengthened. The encounter was not just a battle, it was a statement, a declaration that Earth was ready and capable of defending itself. Meanwhile, far away, the Zantrasi command received the report of the encounter with mixed reactions. Anger and surprise were evident among the high command, and plans began to form for a more substantial engagement. As the sun set over Earth, casting long shadows and bathing the cities in a soft glow, the people looked up at the stars with a new sense of hope and defiance. They knew their world was no longer a silent participant in the cosmos, but a formidable force ready to fight for its place in the universe. In the quiet of space, the Prometheus and its fleet continued their patrol, their crews vigilant and prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead. The first small fight was over, but the war was just beginning. Aliens are worried. Deep in the cold, dark space, far from the bright light of any star, the Zantrasi flagship loomed like a shadowy giant. Inside, the atmosphere was tense, a stark contrast to the overconfidence that had filled the ship before. The bridge, usually a hub of commands and quick decisions, was now a chamber of anxious discussions and worried glances. Commander Vrex stood at the front of the bridge, his large, imposing figure silhouetted against the backdrop of the vast windows that looked out into the depths of space. The recent report of the skirmish with Earth's fleet had just been delivered to him, and the news was not good. "These Earthlings are more capable than we anticipated," Vrex muttered to his first officer, Thurl, who was equally disturbed by the developments. "Our scouts were outmaneuvered by their new ships. This was supposed to be an easy conquest." Thurl nodded, his brow furrowed. "Indeed, Commander. The humans have developed technology that rivals our own. Their ships are faster and more agile than we expected. And their shields, they manage to deflect our best weapons. Around them, other officers listened in, their faces marked by a growing realization that this battle might not be the walkover they had bragged about. The room filled with low, serious talks as strategies were debated and options considered. "We need to reassess our approach," Vrex said, his voice carrying a hint of urgency that was rare for him. "Prepare for a full-scale simulation. We must understand their capabilities completely before we engage again." The order was quickly passed down, and the Zantresi fleet began preparations for a large-scale battle simulation. Technicians and strategists worked together, inputting data on the Earth fleet's recent performance into their computers to create as accurate a scenario as possible. Meanwhile, on a smaller screen in a quiet corner of the bridge, live feeds from Earth continued to stream in. The images showed Earth's people celebrating their small victory, their faces filled with joy and defiance. The sight only deepened the worry among the Zantrasi crew. "Look at them," Thurl pointed out, his voice a mix of admiration and concern. "They fight with such spirit. We underestimated their resolve." Vrex watched, his usual stoic expression softened by a moment of contemplation. "Yes, their spirit is admirable, but it makes them dangerous. We cannot afford to take them lightly anymore." As the flagship buzzed with activity, Vrex and his command team gathered in the strategy room to oversee the simulation. The room was dark, lit only by the glow of holographic displays showing various battle tactics. The simulation began, and the virtual Earth fleet, represented by light markers, moved with surprising speed and coordination. The Zantrasi virtual ships, marked in dark tones, advanced as they would in a real battle. The result was not what anyone had hoped for. The Earth ships, utilizing guerrilla tactics and their advanced shields, effectively countered every Zantrasi move. After several runs, each ending unfavorably for the Zantrasi, the room was silent, the weight of the situation settling in on everyone present. "We need to develop new tactics," Vrex finally said, breaking the silence. "And possibly, we need to consider upgrading our own fleet. This is no longer just a mission. It's a war, and one we might actually lose if we're not careful." The decision was made to delay the invasion of Earth. More data was needed, and new strategies had to be developed. The Zantrasi pride was wounded, but their determination to win remained unshaken. However, now they respected their opponent, a crucial change in their approach. Back on Earth, unaware of the consternation they had caused among the Zantresi, the humans continued their preparations, bolstered by their recent success. Each victory, no matter how small, fueled their resolve to protect their home. In the vast, star-filled expanse between Earth and the Zantrasi flagship, the silent wait for the next encounter continued. Both sides knew the next battle would be decisive, a true test of ingenuity, strength, and spirit. The war had indeed changed, becoming a contest of minds and technology, where underestimation was no longer an option. The big battle. The vast expanse of space near Mars was silent, holding its breath as two mighty forces prepared to collide. The Earth fleet, led by the formidable Prometheus, was positioned strategically, ready to defend their home. Far across the cold void, the Zantrasi fleet, larger and seemingly more powerful, moved slowly towards Earth, their ships casting long shadows against the backdrop of the red planet. Dr. Lara Henson stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, her face set in a determined expression. Every screen and monitor hummed with data, and her crew worked with quiet efficiency, aware of the gravity of the battle ahead. Lara knew that the outcome of this confrontation would not just determine the fate of Earth, but also the future of human independence. "Commander Vrex has moved his fleet into an attack formation," reported Tom, the chief engineer, his voice tense but controlled. Lara nodded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "All ships maintain formation. Remember, our agility and our shields are our strengths. Let's use them." As the Zantraci fleet came into range, the vast emptiness of space was shattered by the sudden blaze of weapon fire. Bright beams of energy cut through the darkness, aimed with deadly intent at the Earth fleet. The Prometheus shuddered as its shields absorbed the impact, the light reflecting off its surface creating a spectacular show of colors. "Shields holding at 90%. All systems are stable," shouted an officer from his station. Lara grasped the edge of the command table, her mind racing with tactics. "Execute Maneuver 7. Let's show them what we've learned." At her command, the Earth fleet, seemingly cornered, suddenly split into smaller groups, each darting away in pre-calculated directions. The Prometheus led one group, speeding towards the Zantraci with astonishing velocity, its advanced engines glowing brightly. The Zantraci, surprised by the sudden and unpredictable movements of the Earth ships, struggled to adjust their aim. Their next volley of shots missed, sailing harmlessly into the dark void. "Good. Now, hit them hard," Lara commanded. The Earth ships, now spread out and surrounding the Zantraci fleet, began their counterattack. They targeted the Zantraci's command ships, their weapons firing in synchronized bursts. The Zantraci shields flickered under the onslaught, showing signs of strain. On the bridge of the Zantraci flagship, Commander Vrex watched in frustration as his fleet was outmaneuvered. "Bring us about. Target their leader, the Prometheus," he ordered, pounding his fist against the control panel. Back on the Prometheus, alarms blared as incoming fire intensified. Lara kept her calm, directing her ship and fleet with precision. "Increase speed. Prepare for the next pass. Focus fire on their flagship. It's time to end this." As the Prometheus soared past the Zantraci flagship, it unleashed a powerful barrage directly at Vrex's ship. The impact was direct and devastating. The Zantraci flagship's shields failed, and the hull was severely damaged. Seeing their flagship in trouble, the morale of the Zantraci fleet wavered. Confusion spread among their ships, their formations breaking. Lara, seizing the moment, signaled all Earth ships to concentrate their efforts. "Full assault now. Push them back." The Earth fleet rallied, their combined firepower overwhelming the Zantraci. One by one, the alien ships began to retreat, their retreat covered by defensive fire, but increasingly disorganized. As the Zantraci fleet pulled back, the crew of the Prometheus and the rest of the Earth fleet cheered. They had faced the might of the Zantraci and stood strong. Their home was safe for now. Commander Vrex, aboard his crippled flagship, watched the retreat. His face was grim, his mind already turning to the lessons of this defeat. "Withdraw to the rally point," he commanded his remaining ships. "This isn't over. We will return." But today, the victory belonged to Earth. As the Prometheus and its fleet returned to Mars orbit, the sense of triumph was palpable. Lara looked out at her crew, pride swelling in her chest. "We did it," she said, her voice echoing through the bridge. "Today, we protected our world. Let's be ready to do it again." The big battle had ended, but the war for freedom and survival in the galaxy had just begun. Earth had proven its worth in the cosmic arena, a small planet with a spirit too large to conquer. Earth wins. As the dust settled in the aftermath of the monumental battle near Mars, the Earth fleet, led by the proud Prometheus, glided through space, victorious. The bridge of the Prometheus was abuzz with a mixture of relief and jubilation as crew members celebrated their hard-earned triumph over the Zantraci fleet. Dr. Lara Henson stood at the forefront, her eyes reflecting a deep sense of pride and accomplishment. She watched the stars beyond, feeling a profound connection to the crew and the ship that had stood resilient against a formidable enemy. "Great work, everyone," Lara announced, her voice resonating through the bridge. "We've shown the galaxy that Earth is not just a tiny speck to be overlooked. We've defended our home and our future." The crew erupted in cheers, the sound echoing down the corridors of the Prometheus. Everyone from the engineers to the pilots shared hugs and handshakes, their faces lit up with smiles. It was more than a military victory. It was a testament to human spirit and ingenuity. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the news of the victory spread like wildfire. Screens in Times Square, cafes in Paris, and homes in Tokyo lit up with headlines declaring, "Earth wins." People poured into the streets, waving flags and singing, their hearts united by a common joy. Families hugged, friends danced, and even strangers shared moments of happiness. The victory was not just for those in space, but for every person who had hoped, worried, and waited. In schools, children cheered, their teachers using the moment to speak about courage and determination. "Remember this day," one teacher said to her class, "when humanity stood together and protected our blue planet." It's a lesson in unity and bravery. As celebrations continued, world leaders addressed their nations, their speeches full of praise for the bravery of the space fleet and the genius of Dr. Laura Henson and her team. Today, we celebrate not just a victory for our planet, but a victory for human innovation and resolve, said the president of the Earth United Alliance, standing before a massive crowd in the United Nations Plaza. Back on the Prometheus, Lara took a moment to step away from the jubilation and walked to the observation deck. She looked out at the vastness of space, her thoughts turning to those who had risked everything. Her heart was heavy for the lives lost, but she knew their sacrifices had not been in vain. Suddenly, she wasn't alone. General Carter approached, his face showing traces of the battle's toll yet brightened by the victory. "Dr. Henson, you've led us well. Thanks to your leadership and your team's brilliance, Earth has a future." Lara smiled softly, nodding in appreciation. "Thank you, General. It was a collective effort. This victory belongs to everyone." As Earth's celebrations continued into the night, the Prometheus and its fleet began the journey home, their ships bearing the marks of battle, but also the glory of victory. Lights from the small windows of the fleet twinkled like stars as they moved through the darkness, a symbol of hope and resilience. In the coming days, Earth began to prepare for the future. Meetings were held, alliances forged, and plans drawn up to ensure that the planet would never be caught off guard again. The victory had opened a new chapter for humanity, one not just about survival, but about thriving in a vast and complex galaxy. On the Prometheus, as it entered Earth's orbit, the crew gathered for one last meeting. Lara addressed them all, her words echoing the new era they had ushered in. "Today we stand at the dawn of a new age," she said, her gaze sweeping over her team. "An age where Earth is not just a participant in galactic affairs, but a leader. Let's continue to work together, to innovate, and to reach for the stars. Our journey has just begun." As the ship prepared to dock, the crew looked out at the blue planet that was their home, its beauty undiminished by the darkness of space. Earth, with its blue oceans, green lands, and swirling clouds, was safe once more, its people ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, together. Earth had won, but more importantly, it had united, its victory a beacon of hope for the future, shining brightly across the cosmos.